He was a millionaire, living a life most people only dream of. His home was a palace, filled with priceless art, elegant furniture, and every modern convenience you could imagine. He had everything a person could possibly want: money, power, comfort. But even surrounded by all this luxury, there was one thing he couldn't quite trust: the people who worked for him. For years, he had employed a servant who seemed loyal, dedicated, and hardworking. She had been with him for a very long time, always polite, always on time, always efficient. She took care of his home, his meals, and even small personal tasks. Most employers would have been thrilled, but over time, the millionaire noticed little things that made him uneasy. It started with small shifts in her routine. She would occasionally arrive late in the morning or seem distracted while working. Sometimes, when he asked her simple questions, she would answer vaguely or seem nervous. At first, he brushed it off. Everyone has bad days, right? Maybe she was tired or worried about something personal, but as the weeks went by, these small behaviors became consistent. The late arrivals turned into hours unaccounted for. The distracted work led to careless mistakes, and her nervous answers grew into a palpable tension whenever he entered the room. The millionaire had always trusted his gut instincts. He prided himself on his ability to read people, and something about his servant's behavior just didn't sit right with him. He started observing her more closely, watching for patterns or hints that could explain her actions. He tried to tell himself it was just paranoia. She had been with him for so long. Surely he was just imagining things. Yet deep down, a nagging thought kept getting stronger. Could she be hiding something? Was she being dishonest? Was she planning to take advantage of his trust and his wealth? The very idea made him sick to his stomach. And the more he thought about it, the more he convinced himself that he had to find out the truth. His suspicion started to consume his daily life. He found himself noticing things he never cared about before: how she handled the household accounts, how she answered the phone, where she went when she said she was running errands. Every tiny detail seemed significant, every small inconsistency a potential clue. He even started watching her interactions with others, wondering if she was secretly meeting someone or getting money in ways he didn't know about. It was exhausting, but he felt he couldn't just ignore it. This feeling of doubt was like a constant hum in the back of his mind, a tension he just couldn't shake. Despite his growing suspicion, he also struggled with guilt. He knew she had served him faithfully for years, and he had always treated her well. The thought that he might be wrongly accusing someone he trusted made him deeply uncomfortable. But the unease in his gut just wouldn't let him rest. He tried to rationalize his thoughts, telling himself he was just being careful, that it was better to notice potential problems early than to be blindsided later. And so, he decided he couldn't confront her just yet. Instead, he would observe, silently, from a distance, hoping to uncover the truth without causing a scene. Every day, he found himself watching her more closely. He noted how she moved around the house, how she interacted with him and the other staff, even how she dressed. The smallest details seemed to tell a story he didn't yet understand. Friends and acquaintances told him he was overthinking it, that people change and small lapses don't automatically mean betrayal. But the millionaire felt differently. He trusted his instincts, and they were screaming that something was very wrong. The tension grew with each passing day. He felt a mix of curiosity, fear, and frustration. He wanted to confront her, but he also wanted proof. He didn't want to accuse her unfairly, but he needed to know what was happening in her life. At night, he'd lie awake, his mind racing with possibilities. Could she be stealing from him? Did she have hidden debts or problems she was trying to hide? Or was it something more personal, a family emergency she felt she couldn't share? His mind filled with dramatic scenarios, each one worse than the last. Finally, he made a decision. If he truly wanted to know the truth, he could no longer rely on guesswork. He would follow her. He would see for himself where she went and what she did, hoping the answers would finally reveal themselves. This decision both terrified and excited him. He had no idea what he would find, and part of him feared it might shatter the trust they had built over so many years. But he felt he had no other choice. The suspicion had grown too strong to ignore, and only by seeing the truth with his own eyes could he find any peace. And so, the millionaire prepared himself for what was to come. With a mix of anxiety and determination, he resolved to follow his servant and discover the truth, no matter what it might reveal. Little did he know, the journey he was about to take would not only surprise him, but would also teach him a profound lesson about life, trust, and the unseen struggles of the people all around us. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe to see what he discovered next. The millionaire couldn't get the servant out of his mind. Every day, her unusual behavior seemed to grow more suspicious. She moved through the house like a shadow, always careful, always quiet, but never fully at ease. He watched her closely, noticing the nervous glances, the subtle hesitations, and the tiny sighs she tried to hide. His mind raced with possibilities. Was she hiding something from him? Was she in trouble? Or worse, was she betraying the trust he had placed in her for so many years? He knew he could not confront her yet. There was no evidence, only suspicion. Confronting her too early could ruin everything, and the thought of falsely accusing someone he had relied on for so long made his chest tighten with guilt. But his curiosity was stronger than his fear. If he wanted answers, he needed to see for himself what she was doing, where she went, and why she seemed so burdened with secret worries. So he made a bold decision. He would follow her. Quietly, carefully, he would observe her without being noticed. He could dress casually to avoid recognition, keep a safe distance, and track her movements throughout the day. It felt both thrilling and terrifying. Thrilling because he was about to uncover a secret that had eluded him for weeks, and terrifying because he had no idea what he might find. The next morning, he waited until she left for her errands. He followed her from a distance, careful not to make any sudden moves that could give him away. At first, she walked normally, carrying herself as if nothing was unusual. She passed the market, greeting neighbors politely, but her eyes seemed distant, lost in thought. He tried to guess what she might be thinking, but he could not read her mind. The suspense was almost unbearable. Hours passed, and he trailed her through crowded streets, careful to remain unnoticed. Every turn she took made him more anxious. He imagined scenarios in his head. Maybe she was meeting someone secretly. Maybe she was hiding stolen goods. Maybe she had debts he didn't know about. Each possibility seemed more dramatic than the last. He felt like a detective in a mystery, piecing together clues he didn't yet understand. Eventually, she stopped at a place he never expected. It was not a store, a friend's house, or some secret meeting spot. It was a hospital. His heart skipped a beat. A hospital. Why would she go there without telling him? He noticed her rushing down a corridor, carrying a bag, moving with purpose and determination. She seemed different, here focused, worried, and yet strangely gentle. The millionaire realized he had never seen this side of her before. She was no longer the quiet, careful servant in his mansion. She was someone with a mission, someone trying to protect or help someone in need. He shivered at the thought that he might have doubted someone who had always been loyal and kind. Determined to see the truth, he decided he could not leave until he knew what was happening. Whatever awaited him inside that hospital, he knew it would change everything. He adjusted his coat, took a deep breath, and prepared to follow her into the unknown. The millionaire followed the servant silently through the streets, his mind racing with questions and scenarios. Every step she took seemed deliberate, every glance cautious, as if she were hiding something enormous, something life-changing. He imagined all the possibilities. Perhaps she had a secret life. Perhaps she was meeting someone he didn't know about, maybe even a mysterious benefactor. His heart pounded with anticipation and anxiety. He had expected her to go to a small cafe, a friend's house, or even a marketplace, somewhere ordinary. But she kept moving forward, faster than he anticipated, and soon the surroundings became unfamiliar. As they reached the outskirts of the town, the millionaire noticed her approaching a large building he hadn't expected. At first, he assumed it was a clinic or some kind of office. But as she entered the doors, the word above them became clear. Hospital. His chest tightened with confusion and a flicker of guilt. A hospital. Of all the places he could have imagined, this wasn't it. The thought that all his suspicions might be completely misplaced made him pause for a moment. But curiosity and the need for answers pushed him forward. He watched her step inside, her movements purposeful, almost urgent. Unlike the hesitant and nervous demeanor she displayed at home, here she moved with determination. She clutched a small bag tightly against her chest, and her eyes darted around, scanning the hallways as if searching for something or someone. The millionaire hid behind a pillar at the entrance, careful not to be seen, peeking through the glass doors. The sterile scent of the hospital seemed to fill his senses even from outside, and he could almost hear the faint beeping of machines from within. Inside, the servant hurried down a long corridor. The millionaire noticed a subtle change in her expression, a mix of worry, fear, and deep concern. She seemed different here, as though this place revealed a part of her life he had never seen. He realized that his earlier assumptions of theft, betrayal, or dishonesty might have been completely wrong. Yet, he could not look away. Something important was unfolding, and he was about to witness it. She stopped at a particular room, and he could see her knock gently before entering. The millionaire's curiosity intensified, but he also felt a strange hesitation. Should he follow her inside? What if he intruded on something deeply private? Yet, he could not resist. He took a cautious step forward, just enough to see through a small gap in the door. Inside the room, he saw a small child lying on a hospital bed, pale and frail, hooked to several machines. The servant's face softened instantly, worry and love mingling in her eyes. She carefully adjusted the blankets around the child and whispered something soothing, something only the child could hear. The millionaire froze. This was not the secret he had imagined. This was not betrayal, dishonesty, or wrongdoing. This was compassion, love, and sacrifice. He watched her tend to the child, feeding him, checking his four, and adjusting the small comfort items around him. The millionaire's heart began to ache. How could he have doubted her? All this time, he had imagined deceit, but what he saw now was pure dedication. She had been hiding this part of her life, not out of shame, but to ensure her private struggle did not interfere with her work or cause worry. She had quietly carried a burden that no one at the mansion had ever known about. And yet she continued to serve diligently every day. Tears welled up in the millionaire's eyes as he realized the depth of her selflessness. Every small act he had misinterpreted, every late arrival, every nervous glance was not evidence of betrayal, but a reflection of the pressure she carried in her private life. His chest tightened with guilt and admiration. He had followed her out of suspicion, but now he understood that the real story was one of courage and sacrifice. The servant, unaware of the millionaire's presence, continued her care tirelessly. She whispered softly to the child, and her eyes glistened with tears. The millionaire's heart was heavy, but in that heaviness there was also a profound sense of humility. He realized that wealth, status, and suspicion meant nothing compared to the struggles and sacrifices of the people around him. At that moment, he silently vowed to never judge someone so quickly again, to see beyond appearances and to appreciate the quiet battles people fight every day. He stayed there for a while, watching her with awe, understanding that what he was witnessing was far more powerful than any betrayal he could have imagined. It was a moment of revelation, a moment that would change the way he viewed trust, loyalty, and human kindness forever. The millionaire's heart hammered against his ribs as he stood in the shadows of the hospital corridor, peering through the small window of the room. Inside, his servant, a woman he'd come to suspect of deceit, was moving with a quiet grace that stopped his breath. Every gesture she made, every small adjustment of the blanket on the small bed, spoke of a devotion so profound it felt like a physical force. He had followed her here, convinced he would uncover a story of theft or betrayal. But this was something else entirely. She was whispering, her voice a soft murmur meant only for the small figure in the bed. Her hands, so often busy with chores in his mansion, were now tending to a child with a gentleness that was almost painful to watch. She checked the monitors, her eyes scanning the blinking lights and numbers with a practiced focus. He realized with a jolt that he had been completely, utterly wrong. This wasn't a scene of betrayal. This was a scene of love, of fierce, quiet, and sacrificial love that the world so rarely gets to see. He edged closer, careful not to be seen. The child on the bed was pale and fragile, a tiny hand clutching a worn stuffed bear. His eyes fluttered weakly as the servant continued to speak to him, her words a soothing balm. A lump formed in the millionaire's throat. She wasn't just a caregiver, she was a protector, a lifeline for this small, vulnerable soul who depended on her for everything. The realization hit him hard. She had been carrying this immense burden, this secret world of worry, all while maintaining her duties, her composure, her quiet dignity back at his home. He felt a wave of shame wash over him. For weeks, his mind had been a breeding ground for suspicion. He'd imagined the worst-case scenarios, picturing her hiding stolen goods or meeting with unsavory characters. He'd interpreted her late arrivals and distracted moments as signs of dishonesty. But now, standing here, the truth was laid bare. And it was 1,000 times more complex and heartbreaking than his cynical imagination could have ever conceived. Every single one of her suspicious actions suddenly clicked into place. They weren't signs of guilt. They were signs of a mother's struggle. He watched her wipe the child's brow with a cool cloth and carefully adjust the drip in his small arm. She cleaned a small spill on the bedside table with an efficiency born of long practice. Her soft, soothing words flowed without pause, a constant stream of comfort that only a truly loving heart could produce. The millionaire felt his eyes sting with unexpected tears. He had come here as a judge, ready to deliver a verdict. Instead, he was the one being judged and found wanting. He had been so quick to assume the worst, so blinded by his own wealth and privilege that he could unsee the quiet heroism playing out right under his nose. At one point, the servant paused her work. She simply stood by the bed and took the child's small hand in hers. She leaned down and whispered something he couldn't hear, but the emotion etched on her face was as clear as day. It was a raw mix of love, worry, and unwavering devotion. It was the face of a warrior fighting a silent battle. The millionaire's chest tightened. He had expected to find a thief, but he had found a hero. He had looked for selfishness and found the purest form of selflessness. He thought back to all the times he had doubted her, the harsh thoughts that had clouded his judgment. He was ashamed, deeply ashamed, of questioning her integrity. But mingled with the shame was a profound sense of admiration. How had she managed it all? The sleepless nights, the constant fear, the financial strain, she had carried it all without a word of complaint, without ever letting it compromise her work or her loyalty to his household. She was stronger and more honorable than he could have ever imagined. He remained hidden in the hallway, a silent observer to this sacred scene. He realized that his servant's life extended far beyond the pristine walls of his mansion. She had a whole other world, one filled with challenges he, with all his money, had never had to face. Yet, she navigated both worlds with a grace that was simply astonishing. This moment was no longer about catching a liar. It was about witnessing the profound, unseen struggles that people carry with them every day. It was a lesson in empathy. A storm of emotions raged within him: guilt for his baseless suspicions, awe for her incredible resilience, and a deep, humbling gratitude for the lesson she was unknowingly teaching him. He had followed her expecting to confirm his darkest assumptions, but instead, he had been shown the true meaning of loyalty, courage, and unconditional love. His heart ached, not with anger, but with the poignant beauty of her sacrifice. In that quiet hospital corridor, the millionaire knew his life had been irrevocably changed. He had learned something that no business deal or stock market rally could ever teach him: a lesson about trust, about compassion, and about the incredible capacity of the human heart. The servant inside was completely unaware of his presence, unaware that her quiet struggle had just taught a powerful man the most important lesson of his life. And as he finally turned to leave, he made a silent vow to himself: to never again judge a person by their circumstances, to always look beyond the surface, and to recognize and cherish the quiet heroes who walk among us, fighting their battles in silence. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that touches the heart.